ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الصلاة والسلام على نبينا Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. So we are going to inshallah continue today with the Quranic diagrammatic overviews. Yesterday we looked at the first Juzz and we looked at Surah Al-Fatiha and Al-Baqarah. Today we are going to inshallah endeavor to complete the second Juzz, which is within Surah Al-Baqarah. In fact, it will end at Ayat 252. So there is still quite a bit of Surah Al-Baqarah left after that, just over 30 ayat. We then started to look at the first two sections of Al-Baqarah. Now the central theme of Al-Baqarah, because we are still in Surah Al-Baqarah, is the transfer of responsibility to convey the message. And we mentioned that the Bani Israel were the previous ummah, and this ummah has now been dismissed because they did not do the job they were supposed to do, and this responsibility has now been transferred upon the shoulders of the ummah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we looked at some of the qualities of the people who, when they receive this message, we found three types of people: the believers, their qualities; the rejectors, their qualities; and the munafiqeen, who say they have accepted but they have not actually accepted it internally. We then went on to look at quite extensively the causes behind the dismissal of Bani Israel, in light of the hadith, as we mentioned yesterday, that the ummah, as the Prophet ﷺ he mentioned, this ummah, it will resemble, or those things will happen to this ummah, will befall on this ummah just as on Bani Israel, just as a shoe resembles the other. And the hadith was quite extensive, more extensive than that. The second part of Al-Baqarah is addressing the Muslims directly, the Muslim ummah. Now, the period of revelation, as we mentioned, is Madani period, and the early Madani period, approximately the second of Hijrah, after Hijrah. And we know that at this point the Muslim community was establishing itself, it was finding its feet, if you like. And Allah Ta'ala, He has hence in Surah Al-Baqarah given us guidance on that. But at the same time, the ummah needs to now be ready and prepared for this responsibility of conveying the message. So, I want you to make a note of the following. The second part of Al-Baqarah, if you were to make a diagram, you would have two strands coming off of it. The second part of Al-Baqarah. The first strand deals with the Muslim ummah's aqidah, or their iman, or their belief, and the ahkam, meaning the ibadat. I will repeat that. So the first strand within Al-Baqarah, this second section, the first strand is talking to the Muslim ummah regarding their belief. What is their belief in Tawheed? Elaborating on that, clarifying that, and making them strong in that. And then the ibadat. Now, how do you now practice your belief? So it will mention things regarding that. So this is the first strand. The second strand, it deals with preparing the Muslim ummah for what is about to come to them. What is about to come to them? They have a responsibility to convey the message, hence they need to adopt two things. They need to adopt something called infaq. Infaq is to spend in the cause of Allah. And the second is they need to do jihad, which is to strive, to struggle, to do their utmost in conveying this message. Okay? So this is, if you have this picture in mind, inshallah, then all the ayat that we go through today in the sections, they will fit, and hopefully they will give you a picture. And we will keep mentioning this. The Quranic diagrammatic overviews are not tafsir. Okay, they are just for us to build a picture of each surah, to have clarity about the surah, because many times a person, especially during Ramadan, starts to recite Al-Quran and starts to read the meaning, but gets lost. And this is my personal experience. You get lost, you don't know what this ayah is talking about, where is this leading to, and etc. etc. Hence, the diagrammatic overviews help us contextualize what we are reading and how this all fits together, inshallah. So with that introduction in mind, we want to then proceed. So with this diagram, and as you can see it's quite extensive, we will be covering most of this. The central theme for this section then is to submit to the final messenger and act on all commandments in order to fulfill your responsibility of conveying the message to the rest of humanity. So we, as we mentioned before, the aqidah and the ibadat, these are what you can say these to establish the foundations of the Muslim Ummah in Medina now. Because the task ahead is that of spending and making that effort to convey the message. So let's start then, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, with the first section. These are Ayat 143 to 152. The heading given there for this section is to fulfill the duty of being witnesses unto mankind. So we take the first ayah, very profound ayah, which we need to inshallah memorize even, because this is talking about us as a Muslim Ummah. Na'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا لِتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ وَيَكُونَ الرَّسُولُ عَلَيْكُمْ شَهِيدًا. And in fact, even before that, I should have mentioned the beginning of this juz. It says, سَيَقُولُ السُّفَهَاءُ مِنَ النَّاسِ مَا وَلَّاهُمْ عَنْ قِبْلَتِهِمُ الَّتِي كَانُوا عَلَيْهَا قُلْ لِلَّهِ الْمَشْرِقُ وَالْمَغْرِبُ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ إِلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. So this ayah is talking about the fact that very soon people who are not very sensible, they will comment on why have you changed the Qibla. And we mentioned yesterday that the changing of the direction of the Qibla from Masjid al-Aqsa back to its original, which is Ka'batullah, this was as if a symbol to show that the responsibility is transferred of conveying the message from Bani Israel to the Ummah of the Prophet ﷺ. So when this happens, this is what people will say Allah Ta'ala is telling us. And as a result of the changing of Qibla, this ayah is telling us who are we and what is our responsibility as a Muslim Ummah. So the translation of part of it is, and thus we have made you a median or a just community, that you will be a witness over the people and the messenger will be a witness over you. So this is telling us concept which you need to make a note of shahada ala nas. The concept, very important concept of bearing witness to mankind. Bearing witness to what? That we have conveyed the message. So this is the station, or this is the role and the responsibility that has been given at this point in the surah to the Muslim Ummah. And then the next part talks about the changing of the direction of the Qibla. Yeah? So it mentions that, as Allah Ta'ala, He mentions here, we know, O Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, you keep looking up to the sky, expecting and hoping that the Qibla will change. Now when the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam came to Medina, the people of the Bani Israel, they already were facing the Qibla, which was Jerusalem. And the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he would pray towards Jerusalem even when in Medina, for approximately 15 to 16 months. When he was in Mecca, it was easier for him because he could stand in such a way. If you have been to Ka'batullah, as it's a square, you can face any direction, yeah? You can stand anywhere around it. So the Prophet ﷺ would stand usually in a way that such that he would obviously be facing the Qibla, the Kaaba, but he would also be facing the Masjid al-Aqsa. So as if Qiblatain, two Qiblas. But when he came to Medina, now he has to choose. Will he face Ka'batullah or Masjid al-Aqsa? And by Allah Ta'ala's command, he was following the Qibla of the Bani Israel, the previous Ummah, for some time, until it was the right time to change the Qibla. And then Allah mentions, do not fear the people of the book and how they are going to criticize you now, because they will now say, you have come with something new. Although you are saying that, oh, you are followers of Ibrahim and Nuh alayhi salam and Musa alayhi salam, but you have come with something new, meaning you have changed something very obvious, the Qibla. You have changed this. So Allah Ta'ala is saying, do not worry about this. And the objective of the messengerhood of the Prophet ﷺ has been mentioned, and we mentioned this yesterday, this ayah. And this has been mentioned a few times in the Quran. This is ayah 151. So in ayah 151, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, this is the objective of the Prophet ﷺ's messengerhood, yeah, his risala. كما أرسلنا فيكم رسولا منكم يتلو عليكم آياتنا ويزكيكم ويعلمكم الكتاب والحكمة وَيُعَلِّمُكُمْ مَا لَمْ تَكُونُوا تَعْلَمُونَ. And we mentioned yesterday in Surah Al-Jumu'ah as well, and previously in Al-Baqarah, as the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has been sent to you to do what? First, to recite to you the verses of Quran, number one. And then to purify you in your belief and in your actions. And to teach you the book, meaning the commandments, and the wisdom, the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So this is the objective of the Prophet ﷺ, and as the responsibility of conveying this message after the death of the Prophet ﷺ has been transferred to the shoulders of the Muslim Ummah as a whole, this has become our responsibility as an Ummah collectively. Yeah? Okay. And Allah Ta'ala, in the last part of that section, Allah Ta'ala is telling us, فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرُكُمْ وَاشْكُرُوا لِي وَلَا تَكْفُرُونَ. So remember me, I will remember you, and be grateful to me, and do not deny me, meaning you are now given this responsibility. Yes, you are being given this responsibility. Remember me, meaning remember why you have been given this responsibility, and I will remember you, I will take care of you. But if you forget Allah, as Allah Ta'ala says in Surah Al-Hashr, Allah will cause you to forget your own selves. So to always be mindful of Allah. And Allah Ta'ala is saying, do not be ungrateful, meaning in the context of this surah, you need to be following what I'm saying, inshallah, very attentively, and be giving your 110% effort. Because you are studying Al-Quran. This is not biology or physics or maths, which has its importance in life, yes, for sure. But its importance will stop once we enter the grave. This Quran, its importance, really we will understand once we enter the grave. Because inshallah it will come as an intercessor for us to make our graves vast and full of light for us, and on the day of judgment, and until inshallah we reach Al-Jannah, and even in Al-Jannah we will appreciate Quran. Yes, so inshallah let's give it our 110% effort. So not to be ungrateful, meaning that Allah has given you the responsibility now. Bani Israel were ungrateful, meaning they did not do what they were supposed to do with what they were given. So shukr actually means to do or to use something for its real reason. To misuse it is being ungrateful. Khair. Moving on then. This is the first section, let's move on to the second. As I said, the two strands. We will start now looking at the belief in Tawheed, yeah, and the ahkam based on that now. So, let's start with, if we just mention this for the beginning, then I will focus more on the second. It talks about salah, sabr and jihad. That you believers now, you have this responsibility, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. You have to now gain the help by being patient, steadfast, and by as-salah. If you are firmly attached with Allah, then He will keep you strong, allow you to carry on in this mission. And then Hajj and Umrah have been mentioned. But I want to talk about this section first as the foundation. So the belief in Tawheed has been mentioned here. The first thing that is mentioned here in ayahs 159 to 162 is the punishment for the ummah or a group of people who hide real Tawheed, who hide it from people. Allah Ta'ala mentions here that these people, la'ana is on them, meaning curse is on them. Curse, la'ana means Allah Ta'ala takes away the ability for a person to recognize and follow the truth. But then you will find that different types of Tawheed have been mentioned here. So in ayah 163, Allah Ta'ala talks about His uluhiyyah. 163. So we take the ayah 163. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وإلهكم إله واحد لا إله إلا هو الرحمن الرحيم. And your God is one God. There is no one worthy of worship except Him, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. This is giving us the Tawheed of Uluhiyyah. Yes, this is telling us that there is only Allah, the only one who is worthy of being worshipped, meaning to be obeyed. Yes, this is the first thing. And then Ayah 164 talks about the Tawheed in the Rububiyyah of Allah. Now we need to know these terms, because you are, mashallah, serious students of Quran, alhamdulillah. Tawheed of Uluhiyyah. And then Tawheed of Rububiyyah means that Allah, He is the Lord and the sustainer of everything. So this ayah gives us a glimpse into the fact that Allah, He is Rabb of everything. Look how He is sustaining everything. So it gives us something to think about. إِنَّ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ وَالْفُلْكِ الَّتِي تَجْرِي فِي الْبَحْرِ بِمَا يَنْفَعُ النَّاسِ وَمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مِن مَّاءٍ فأحيا به الأرض بعد موتها وبث فيها من كل دابة وتصريف الرياح والسحاب المسخر بين السماء والأرض لآيات لقوم يعقلون. So many signs have been given in the creation here. So many signs. So I'll read that because of the importance of this ayah. Indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the alternation of the night and the day, and the great ships which sail through the sea, with that which benefits people, and what Allah has sent down from the heavens of rain, giving life thereby to the earth after it is lifeless, and dispersing therein every kind of moving creature. And His directing of the winds and the clouds controlled between the heaven and the earth are signs for a people who use reason. So many things. If you sit and just contemplate this one ayah, you will realize, subhanallah, this creation is amazing. And Allah Ta'ala, He is the Rabb of all this. He is the creator, and He is the one who is making sure that these cycles remain in place. They don't just happen by chance, randomly. No, we see a pattern. So this is Tawheed al-Rububiyyah that Allah Ta'ala, He is teaching us. As I said, the foundations of the Ummah are being built on Tawheed. As one of the beautiful scholars, he used to say, the Prophet ﷺ, he breastfed his Sahaba Tawheed. Meaning, look at that, how much love and how much care and how much devotion with which the Prophet ﷺ, he taught the Sahaba Tawheed. The next section then talks about Tawheed and Shirk. Tawheed and Shirk. Now I'm not going to go to the ayah, but Tawheed and Shirk here, the crux of the matter is hubb, love. Because really, Iman is to love Allah. To love Allah. Yeah? This is really, and then to show your subservience to Allah. So the ayah mentions that the people of real belief, they have immense love for Allah. They really love Allah. May Allah make us from amongst those people. So belief in Tawheed has been mentioned in that. Then the next section 4 is now talking about the ahkam. We have this belief, now we will act upon this belief. So let's go through that. The first thing, it talks about halal rizq. From ayat 168 to 172, it talks that we should eat just two things as a principle: halal and tayyib. Halal and tayyib. Halal, that which has been sacrificed for the sake of Allah in the way it should be, as the Prophet ﷺ taught us, and tayyib, it is clean, pure. So this is the first direction given to us. And then it tells us what is haram. So it mentions four things that we need to just make a note of. First is mayta, the dead flesh. So the dead animal we cannot eat. Waddam, and we cannot eat blood. Walahmil khinzir, and the lahm, the meat of the pig. And wama uhilla li ghayrillahi bi. If you devote this sacrifice to other than Allah, then this is haram. Although you may be doing it mechanically, yeah, according to Islam, but the intention has to be for the sake of Allah. So these are things that make something haram. And this has been mentioned other parts of the Quran as well. And then Allah Ta'ala is telling us after this, do not hide the true commands of Allah, just like the previous nation. So again, there are some bits you will find in this section, but not that much. Like in the previous section of Al-Baqarah, that do not be like the Bani Israel, do not hide the commands of Allah. In fact, act upon them and invite others to act upon them. So that we don't get lost. This is our central theme, yeah? Let's just refresh it so that we don't get lost, because we can get lost very easily. Yeah? So we are trying to submit to Allah's to the final message properly, fully, by knowing our belief and knowing what to do, the commands, so that we can then spend and make effort in the cause to convey the message. We then move on. Now this is very important, and I want to, as you can say, I want to camp here for a bit. I want to stop and think about this so amazing and so important ayah. This is ayah 177. Some scholars have termed this as Ayatul Bir, because it talks about the spirit of the commands. Many times we as human beings, we focus more than necessary or more than what we should do on the form of things. So we will be very sensitive, for example, about some ahkam. But sometimes we forget the spirit. What was the spirit behind it? So Allah Ta'ala, He's reminding us now, you are not just mechanical robots. Yeah? You need to understand what is the spirit behind the ahkam. What is al-bir? Al-bir is true righteousness. What is it? Where does it come from? Because again, if you look at the context, the qibla is being changed. Many Sahaba, they were very worried, because qibla is one of the conditions for prayer. And they were thinking, for 16 months we had been praying in this direction, but we should have been praying in this direction. So does it mean our prayers are null and void? They were that concerned. So Allah Ta'ala is telling us in this ayah that the form is important. The form is important, but the spirit is more important. And the spirit of as-salah is that you are following Allah and His Messenger, and Allah and His Messenger said you face this way, so you faced it, hence this is good. Now they are saying you face this way, hence that is good. So let's take this ayah, ayah 177. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. ليس البر أن تولوا وجوهكم قبل المشرق والمغرب ولكن البر. So I'd stop there. ليس البر, Allah Ta'ala is saying it is not just righteousness that you face yourselves towards the right or the left or the west or the east, but what is real righteousness? So this is real righteousness. من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر والملائكة والكتاب والنبيين. So the first and foremost is the iman in these 5 things. Number 1. Then it should make you act as what? وآتى المال على حبه ذوي القربى واليتامى والمساكين وابن السبيل والسائلين وفي الرقاب. Then you should be able to and willing to spend your money on these sections of society. The people who are near to you, the orphans, the needy, the traveller, and those who ask, and who are maybe in bondage, who are slaves. And then وَأَقَامَ الصَّلَاةَ وَآتَ الزَّكَاةَ, and that you establish the prayer and you give us zakat. وَالْمُوفُونَ بِأَحْدِهِمْ إِذَا أَحَدُوا, and you fulfill your trusts and your promises. So this becomes social dealing. You see, the foundations of the Muslim community are being built on this spirit, the spirit of al-bir. And finally in the ayah is now again hinting towards and telling us, you will have to face hardship. This is not a bed of roses. Yes, you will have to face hardship, because when you stand for the truth, then it will attract falsehood. Hence you need to be ready for it. So therefore, وَالصَّابِرِينَ فِي الْبَأْسَاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ وَحِينَ الْبَأْسِ, the people who are steadfast and who are patient and who stick to what is right in poverty and in hardship and during battle. أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ صَدَقُوا, they are the people who are truly righteous. Yes, not just outwardly but inwardly. وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُتَّقُونَ, and these are the people who are really people who have taqwa. And we mentioned taqwa, and just to revise quickly, taqwa is to fear Allah, to act upon the revelation, to be happy and content with whatever little as long as it is halal, and to be preparing for the day of departure. Khair. I wanted to spend a bit of time on this because this is very important. Because as the ummah is being prepared, we need to be very clear. This is righteousness. Yeah? Now today you will find, slightly off topic, but just to mention it, to contextualize where we are living, there is a great debate on what is good and what is bad. What is objective good? Because good seems like it always changes. Yeah? Allah Ta'ala is telling us in this one ayah, this is good, objectively, persistently, consistently, forever. This will not change. Yeah? So this we need to know. So when we are talking to somebody about Islam, we need to say goodness has been explained in Quran very simply. This is goodness. That's it. There's no need to try to conform or try to form your own goodness, because goodness has been given in Al-Quran. Khair. So that's the spirit behind the ahkam. And then the ahkam come. So some of the ahkam mentioned here in the 6th section. First is qisas. Qisas is, you could say, when somebody has wronged somebody, then how can that be repaid or recompensed? Yeah, or retribution, you could say that. Yeah. So it really talks about equity. Okay, it talks about equity. Everybody has to be treated with equity. This is actually one of the maqasid of a Sharia, one of the objectives of the Sharia. Yeah, no time to go through that. But very generally, the Sharia, which is the way to Allah, has been revealed to get rid of any things that are harmful and to facilitate all that is good. Very simple. Yeah, this is Sharia. So equity has been mentioned. And then about writing wills, how important they are, how to write wills, when to write, whom should write, etc. And then it talks about fasting. And again, I will take this section on fasting because it is so relevant to us today. So ayah 183, although we have mentioned it before, but we should remind ourselves of this. Ayah 183, Allah Ta'ala is saying, يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. O you who believe, fasting has been prescribed to you just as it was before you, to people before you, so that you attain taqwa. Yes, so Allah Ta'ala is telling us ahkam. See how Allah Ta'ala is building now for us. As-salah is there, zakah is there coming, Sawm is here now. So the believers, based on their aqidah, their belief in Allah as the one, uluhiyya, rabubiyya, yeah, and of course asma wa sifat. Now you act upon this. And this ayah I will also take, ayah 185. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان. Just this section, that this month of Ramadan is the month in which Quran was revealed. And we mentioned in the introductory section or session that Quran was revealed to the lowest heaven, yes, to the lowest heaven in the night of power, Laylatul Qadr, and it started to be revealed to the Prophet ﷺ also, yes. And we said Inzal was, all of it was revealed to the lowest heaven. Tanzil, it was revealed periodically over a period of 23 years upon the Prophet ﷺ. So this Quran, Allah Ta'ala is saying, this is huda, this is guidance, and it is clear evidences for people to see, and it is that which distinguishes between right and wrong. So just to recap, remind ourselves of Ramadan and the objectives of Ramadan. And some other ahkam is being mentioned. Now how will you timetable yourselves? Because as a community you need some sort of timetabling, some sort of organization. How will you do that? How will you manage it? Using the Islamic calendar, which is based on what? The moon. Good. The lunar cycle. Yes? So once you know that, you will know when is the next month. So you therefore know when is Hajj, yeah, when is Eid, when is Ramadan, when are the 4 months in which fighting is not allowed, etc., etc. Yes? So Allah Ta'ala is now giving us those things that we need as an ummah to live collectively. You see, subhanallah, you will find in the Quran, amazing, Allahu Akbar. Everything has been given for a global community, subhanallah. As if Quran was, of course, meant for this time and the time to come. Because the guidance is all there. How to live as a global community, subhanallah. Moving on then, the 7th section here. The ahkam of jihad, infaq and hajj are mentioned here. So let's take some, inshallah, of these things. Okay, so ayah 190 to 194 is talking about qital and jihad. Now, as we mentioned, the Muslim ummah is being prepared Yes, because you know that if this is the second year of Hijrah, which battle took place in the second year of Hijrah? Who can tell us? Badr. Good, excellent. Yeah? So very soon, the battle of Badr is about to take place. Allah Ta'ala, He is preparing the believers for this. And for that, you need infaq. You need to spend. So in this section, this ayah, 195, here Allah Ta'ala is saying, وَأَنْفِقُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّحْلُكَةِ وَأَحْسِنُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. And spend in the way of Allah, and do not throw yourselves with your hands into destruction by not spending in the way of Allah. Yeah, because you may think keeping money is good. No. As a community, you need to invest. You need to invest in structures, in organizations, in infrastructure. So Allah Ta'ala is saying, be forthright and come forward to spend in that cause, so that you can become a strong community, and then you can convey that message effectively. Before the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the people were already doing Hajj and Umrah. Yes. So the Prophet ﷺ, when he came, he clarified the manasik, the rituals of Hajj and Umrah, how to do it. And the most important thing that he clarified and rectified and he put straight was that it has to be just for Allah. This was the most important thing. Yes? So the Hajj and the Umrah just for Allah, and to attain taqwa, again, for the sake of Allah, out of fear of Allah, to become close to Allah. And in this beautiful section, Allah Ta'ala, He has taught us a dua. When you are going from one, I can't remember now, I think it's a Yemeni corner, yeah, you need to make this dua. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. So this beautiful dua has been mentioned here. That, oh Allah, give us in this life goodness, and in the hereafter give us goodness, and save us from the punishment of the fire. So Allah Ta'ala is teaching us we should ask for goodness in this life and the hereafter. Yeah? And this is a reflection, slight, subtle point. The Nasara, the people of Isa alayhi salam, what did they do? They cut off themselves from the world, dunya. They went into the caves, or they went into the mountains. Even today you can see the monasteries in the mountains, yeah, where the monks lived. And they cut themselves off from this dunya. So Allah Ta'ala is saying, no, you don't do that. You have to live in this dunya, part of the society, an integral part, an interactive part of society, where you are interacting, and you are a blessing for society because you are giving it so much goodness. How can you be good if you are in the mountain and everybody is on the land? You can't be of benefit to people. So, to ask for goodness in this life and in the hereafter. So some ahkam have been given here, as we said, the two strands. Just to remind you of the two strands: aqidah, belief, and ibadat, ahkam. And then infaq, spending, and jihad, struggling. These are intertwined in this surah. You will find in this section, because you will find a section talking about this, and then it goes to this, and then you will think, subhanallah. But if you keep this in mind, then everything will, inshallah, make more sense. So the next section, section 8, is talking to the Muslim Ummah how you need to conduct yourself now. Now last session we talked about an ayah where the Bani Israel were being condemned because they took part of the book and they rejected the other. You remember that? Yeah? So Allah Ta'ala, He mentioned there that you took a part of the book, تُؤْمِنُونَ بِبَعْضِ الْكِتَابِ وَتَكْفُرُونَ بِبَعْضِ, and you as if disbelieved in a part of the book by not acting upon it. So here Allah Ta'ala is saying to the believers in this ayah, and we'll take this ayah, inshallah, 208. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا, O you who believe, ادخلوا في السلم كافة, enter into Islam completely, wholeheartedly, with all your love, your mind, your devotion, everything. Do not be like the people, other parts of the Quran says, ala harf, they sit on the fence, sitting on the fence. Yeah, you sit on the fence. If it's green on this side, I'll go on this side. If it's green on this side, I'll come on this side. No. udkhulu fi silmi kaffa, wholeheartedly enter into the submission of Allah, meaning take whatever He and His Rasul give you and act upon it. No hesitance. No hesitance. So this ayah is saying that. وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ, and do not follow the khutuwat, the footsteps of shaitan. إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ, and indeed, he is for you a plain enemy. And we mentioned yesterday, yes, when we were talking about the khilafah of the humanity, yeah, successors of humanity coming one after the other, where it was mentioned about shaitan and Adam alayhi salam, and how he misguided and caused them and encouraged them to disobey Allah. And it's amazing, subhanAllah, the Prophet ﷺ actually, he once drew a line in the sand. Yeah, a line in the sand, and then he drew parts off of it. Yeah, tangents off of it. And he said, this is the straight path, and these khutuwat, these other parts, these are a shaitan, so do not go towards and do not be called by these, meaning do not follow these paths. So the same thing is being mentioned here, that we need to enter Islam fully. And the next ayah I want to take into this, in this section, is this. This is ayah 213. كَانَ النَّاسُ أُمَّةً وَاحِدَةً. Humanity was one ummah. It was just one nation initially. فبعث الله النبيين مبشرين ومنذرين وأنزل معهم الكتاب بالحق ليحكم بين الناس فيما اختلفوا فيه. The crux of it is very simple. Allah Ta'ala, He created humanity and the creation, everything. He put everything in place as He is Rabb. But then when people started to disagree, ikhtilaf, yeah, regarding Allah and believing and obeying Allah, then Allah Ta'ala, He sent the messengers and the prophets to call them back. Yeah, to call them back to the straight path. So, the objective of this ummah in conveying the message is what then? Hence, is to bring the humanity back to one ummah. Simple. Yeah? This is what joins the whole of humanity. Regardless of race, creed, language, not creed, language, yes, culture, regardless of that. Because there is one Allah, one creation, that's it. Simple. La ilaha illallah. Makes perfect sense to everybody. Yeah? So this is what people, as a Muslim ummah, we are being told to call people back to, but we have to enter into it first, yeah? Yeah? Because if we don't enter it, what are we calling them to? We're calling them to sit on the fence with us. You understand? So we have to enter into it fully ourselves, inshallah, and we have to keep striving to do that to the best of our abilities. As we mentioned, Allah Ta'ala says, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَسْتَطَعْتُمْ. Keep your duty towards Allah, have taqwa of Allah as much as you can. You can is different to what he can and she can. Everybody is different. La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha. Allah never burdens a soul more than it can bear. Only you know as a human being, and Allah knows what your threshold is, how far you can go. Khair. We move on then to the next section. We'll take this ayah 216, which is what I mentioned, but I didn't read it before. And before that, I want to take this section, ayah 214. In fact, if you make a note of this, in order to prepare, because I want you to study this afterwards, not just today, but study this inshallah afterwards. In order to prepare the ummah to be able to strive and spend, Allah Ta'ala has mentioned in this surah, in the following ayat, just say, make a note maybe, 153 up to 157, one section, and then in ayah 214, which I'm about to just take right now. Here Allah Ta'ala, He has mentioned the objective of our creation, purpose of life, the reality of life, so that we are very clear about this is what life is about, we have to do such and such. So, أَمْ حَسِبْتُمْ أَن تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةَ وَلَمَّا يَأْتِكُمْ مثل الذين خلوا من قبلكم مستهم البأساء والضراء وزلزلوا حتى يقول الرسول والذين آمنوا معه متى نصر الله ألا إن نصر الله قريب. Now this is in a time, just very quickly to go through the context. Everybody's with me? Good. The context is that the Sahaba are now being tortured for their belief, especially the slaves or the youth who have no say. So one of them, Khabbab ibn al-Ard, comes to the Prophet ﷺ and says, "Oh Rasulullah, don't you pray for us? Yeah, look at what we are going through." And the Prophet ﷺ, then to him comes this ayah. Okay, the translation now. So with that context, hopefully you will be able to understand it better. Do you think that you will enter paradise while such trial has not yet come to you as came to those who passed on before you? And the Prophet ﷺ said in this hadith that people before you, the trials they had to go through were such that a person would be brought and the person would be, a hole would be dug, the person would then be put into that hole, and then a saw would be brought and the person would be cut in half. So the Prophet ﷺ is saying to Khabbab, already you have given up? This has not even happened to you, subhanallah. Yeah? So Allah Ta'ala is then saying, they were touched by poverty and hardship and they were shaken until even their messenger and those who believed with him said, when is the help of Allah? Meaning, where is it going to come? So Allah is preparing the believers. You are going to face hardship. And really, brothers and sisters, life is hardship. That's life. Yeah? Since we are born until we die is hardship. We should never think that life is going to be really rosy and it's going to be like a Bollywood movie. Yeah? You're running around the trees. The trees are in Jannah, inshallah, and the hood is there as well, yeah? Okay? So how we do that is through reading Al-Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, conveying the message, and then when the difficulties, the obstacles, the challenges come, then we stick to Allah and His Messenger more, and Allah Ta'ala makes it easy for us, inshallah. Khair. Moving on then to the next section. So ahkam of infaq and jihad are given here. Infaq meaning spend. So the Sahaba asked, what do we spend? How much do we spend? Again, Allah Ta'ala is giving us balance. Yeah? Giving us balance. Allah Ta'ala is telling us, spend out of what you have, but after your needs have been fulfilled. This is a general principle. Yeah? So you have to spend on yourself, because yourself has a right on you. Yeah? You as a human have a right on yourself. Okay? Your family has a right on you. Your dependents have a right on you. You take care of them. Your near relatives have a right on you, etc. Your neighborhood has a right on you. After that, whatever you have got extra, which you do not need necessarily, then spend it for the cause of Allah. So Allah Ta'ala is giving us the balance, because some Sahaba, of course, would have given more than they should, and then their own people would suffer. Yes, they would suffer. This is wrong as well. But the others would not give anything because they would think it's all for me to keep. So the balance has been struck, alhamdulillah, here. Khair. Let's move on to this, the last section that we're going to take for today. Some social commands are now coming. So as we said, the society, the fabric of this Islamic society is now being, as if being woven. Subhanallah, look at this beautifully. Some of the things we'll take from ayahs 217 onwards. First thing is talking about is that you cannot now become believer and then you leave it and then expect nothing to happen. Yeah? The ayah is mentioning that in the hereafter, this person, he would die as a disbeliever, and for the disbelieving person would be the hellfire. It mentions about alcohol and gambling. Yeah? It says, that the ayah says something amazing. It says that in alcohol especially, khamr, in it there is benefit and in it there is harm. But the harm outdoes the benefit, meaning that it is more harmful than having benefit. Hence, stay away from it. Yes? And gambling also. Maisar. Maisar means something that comes easy, easy. And I was amazed, subhanallah, that over the last 5 years or so, we have seen so many more gambling shops and betting shops. And it's become so prevalent, unfortunately, because it's easy money. Yeah? But what we need to understand is that this is a habitual thing, just like drinking alcohol. You become addicted to it. You can't let go of it. Hence, you cannot become responsible drinkers as a society. Maybe 1 or 2% may be able to be responsible. Hence, also you cannot become responsible gamblers, because in the gambling shops, and I'm not encouraging you to go to the gambling shop, yeah? But if you go past it, you will see, and I looked at this recently, and it said, have fun, but be responsible, be in control, something like this. I mean, subhanAllah, what is this? This is a joke. Yeah, this is a joke. This is like this, yeah? You're in the Pacific Ocean, and you're bleeding, yeah? You're bleeding. And a shark comes to you. What will the shark do? Responsible eating. Huh? Will it only take a little bit as a starter? Or will it rip you to shreds? This is what it is. Because the human tendency is, yeah? Human tendency is once you get addicted to something, you need more, you need more, you need more as a collective society. Same with gambling. Easy money. Yeah? And look at this. This is the opposite. Gambling is the opposite of infaq. Look at this subtle difference. If you spend in the cause of Allah, you will take care of people who need the money. Hence, nobody needs to go for easy option. You will take care of society. Yeah? And you won't have money to just spend on things like this anyway. Khair. Anyway, I wanted to stop there for a bit because this is very relevant to where we are. It then talks about the orphans, the yatim, and the objective there is to do the islah, to make sure that the orphans are being kept well and are being taken care of, and that they are properly looked after. It then mentions nikah. And subhanAllah, in nikah, and maybe we will come to divorce. Yeah, we will come to divorce as well. But I'll take both of them now. The main thing in nikah and divorce, because I think most of you are bachelors here. I think so, yeah? Most of you. Not married yet, inshallah, to be married soon. The whole objective behind nikah, yeah, is to be able to create a very strong unit of society. Yeah? The man and the woman, they come together to become a strong unit of society where they will bring up a generation of people who will be good for the society. Hence, the key there is taqwa. You know, in your nikah, inshallah, when you have your nikah, don't forget me, yeah? In your nikah, you will find that the khutbah to nikah. So many times Allah Ta'ala mentions, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ittaqullah in the nikah, yeah? In the ayat, 3 ayat. Ittaqullah, ittaqullah, ittaqullah. Meaning you are entering into this social contract of nikah. Fear Allah. Be mindful of Allah. Take measure. She is your responsibility. He is your privilege to take care of him to enter Jannah. She can be your Jannah. And the same thing when it comes to divorce in this section. I'm just skipping slightly, as you can see, from 221 to 227 there. I was reading it today and I was surprised. And so many times some phrase was mentioned. Anybody know what that phrase was in that section? Any huffaz here who are doing maybe their dawrah? Hududullah. So many times. The boundaries of Allah, the bounds of Allah. So many times mentioned when you are going to this stressful period of divorce. Keep to the bounds of Allah, meaning keep yourself under control, because you can very easily lose control in this situation. And the whole objective of nikah is to be able to live a life within the bounds of Allah. Udkhulu fi silmi kafa, to be able to enter Islam fully. Anyway, it then talks about menstruation, the fiqh of menstruation, meaning that when the wife is on her monthly period, then you stay away from that for that period. Then after that, when she is clear and she's clean, then you may indulge again in your relationship. It talks about oaths. Not to say, Wallahi, Billahi, Qasme, man. Yeah? Qasme. Allah. Yeah? What is this? SubhanAllah. This is not correct. If you think about it, because I teach in secondary school, when the boys, they say, Allah. I say, what happened? He goes, no, but he doesn't believe me. Yes, because it means that you're not trustworthy. That's why you have to say Allah. Yeah, you should be trustworthy enough not to have to say this. Because the person needs to know. Does that mean that everything else you say without saying Allah is, you're lying? So think about this, not to use these oaths, yeah? Just without any reason. It then mentions dowry, subhanallah, the right of the wife. Dowry is the right of the wife, not the other way around. In many cultures, the dowry is given to the husband. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. SubhanAllah, what is this? And they fight for it. We want this much dowry, and yeah, SubhanAllah. And the man is just sitting there like a mouse, because he doesn't know Quran, he doesn't know Sunnah, he doesn't know, he saw it's just custom, this is the way it has always been. No. You have to stand up for what is right. The dowry is the right of the wife. This is a gift for her from the husband, and not the other way around. Again, salah of fear is mentioned here. Think about the connection, yeah, with the overall strands. The time is coming where you will face difficulty and obstacles and challenges. There will be times where you will have to pray salah and it will be difficult. You will be thinking about enemy might be coming here and there. So Allah Ta'ala is preparing mentally, psychologically, and giving us actual action plans on what to do if that and when that happens. It then talks about the mother suckling the babe, and of course we mentioned divorce already. And it then talks about something called ila, an oath to stay away from one's wife for a certain period of time. So many social commands have been given here, ahkam of infaq and jihad, and Ayat al-Kursi we will take next time inshallah. So I just want to recap before we finish. The central theme we have been looking at is to submit to the final messenger, and act on all commands in order to fulfill your responsibility of conveying the message to the rest of humanity. And the two strands, remember, we talked about ibadat, before that the belief, aqidah, to make the basis of that Islamic foundation and the Islamic community. And then you spend your wealth, your time, your energy, your abilities in order to be able to convey the message and to strive. And when you strive, you will find difficulties, and that is where you have to become sabir, you have to become patient, and you need to ask Allah to give us that patience. With that, we come to the end of today's session. We ask Allah Ta'ala to open our hearts and our minds to Al-Quran, for us to benefit from it, especially during this Ramadan, and that may Allah Ta'ala inshallah bring about a good positive change through us in our communities and in the globe at large inshallah. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk, wa jazakumullahu khair for your patience.